I have a backlog, more specifically, a gaming backlog. Between Steam sales throughout the years and the monthly Humble Bundle that I frequent, I have amassed a huge collection of games in my Steam library. Between working full time, the occasional college class, and the curveballs that frequent daily life, it seems rather impossible to get through it all. However, that isn't going to stop me from trying. I've had a few different approaches throughout the years of achieving this goal, and I think it is important to discuss those first between fleshing out what my new goal is coming into 2025. It started in 2023. Me and my group of friends enjoyed completing games to 100%. We measure this with the Steam achievement system, and while maybe it defeats the point of playing a game to have fun, this helps me somewhat narrow down what I do and don't play. No achievements, no purchase. Simple. But with most games having this selected metric, it keeps a lot of doors open for better or worse. So the goal I set out that year was every month, I would accomplish one 100% completion and move on to the next game. This wasn't the biggest challenge because when I'm not working or in the gym, I'm more often than not just gaming. However, it did become somewhat challenging when I returned to school part-time on the side. At the end of the year, I did manage to keep my goal of one per month, even going over with a few shorter games. What did suck though, and does leave a bitter taste in my mouth about the whole experience, is that a couple of the games I managed to beat in that year added more achievements. The games I completed that year, in order, were Astroneer, Power Wash Simulator, Tacoma, Pumpkin Jack, It Takes Two, Kill It With Fire, Grounded, Toem, Necromunda Hired Gun, Sable, The Henry Stickmin Collection, Marvel Spider-Man, Persona 5 Strikers, Slime Rancher, Meta Hellsinger, Night Security, and Crisis Remastered. Each of these games are great for their own reasons, minus Pumpkin Jack, and the titles that have added more achievements just to annoy me are Power Wash Sim and Grounded. I do repeatedly complete Power Wash to keep my gaming percentage at 100, but Grounded added some ridiculous achievements, so that one might never return. The drawbacks to beating games in this manner is that often I apply a lot of internal pressure on myself to finish them. I have this expectation of, oh, I need to finish this game so I can finally be done with it, uninstall and move on to the next, instead of just playing it to be enjoyed. Adding a reoccurring monthly deadline increased that internal stress, and by the time 2023 was over, while I did feel accomplished, I was really burnt out. I also didn't play as many games as I would have liked due to the fear of not making my deadline. I would often shelve games with longer completion times or more strenuous criteria in favor of something I reasonably felt I could knock out. This was also a double-edged sword, in that if I did complete a game, I felt no obligation to finish any other larger titles that I started, because I would tell myself that it was fine to leave it unfinished. I'd achieved my goal. What I did now was, using my year in review, I compiled a list of games I played, and then a rough approximation of hours devoted to those games in that year. This data is a little off, given it's been well over a year at the time of writing, but the numbers come out like this. I played a total of 81 games between January and December. The total time spent in those games was somewhere around 1,100 hours. A handful less is more than likely, but still a substantial amount. Of those hours, I spent roughly 378 hours playing games I would eventually 100%. When I was asked if I was going to do this again in 2024, I decided that due to the level of burnout I was feeling, I would be more lenient with myself and my time, and play more games that sounded fun to me rather than what would be perfectible within a month's time frame. If I fell in love with a game, I would play it until satisfied. However, the completionist itch is hard to kick, but now I settle for the goal of at least 50% completion rather than 100, as this is more often than not achieved by just rolling credits on a game. Over time, this allows me to remain competitive among my friends, as we often compare completed games and average game completion on our accounts. Admittedly, my completion percentage has remained in the low to mid 30% for the better part of 5 years, but it's a journey and uniquely my own, so I try to embrace that. So where does this leave me now? At the time of writing, Steam's 2024 year in review isn't out, but I know the amount of perfected games this year has swapped from quantity to quality, two of which being Yakuza Like a Dragon and The Man Who Erased His Name. Moving forward, instead of completing games, I'm aiming just to roll credits. And that leads us to this video. This video is my promise to myself, my mission statement if you will. I want to use this channel to share my experience through 2025 of how I clean up some of my backlog. After following the progress of Daryl Talks Games for the last few years, I felt compelled to give this a try for myself. So to follow in his footsteps a bit, I'm actually going to be borrowing his template for how I'm going to be tracking my progress this year. Thanks, Daryl. If you're watching this video, I would highly recommend watching his instead, as they're of supremely higher quality, so I'll leave those linked below. Maybe go watch those and learn about his journey, and then come back and we can resume from there. So as we were discussing, I'm going to be using a similar template to what he used, but slightly modified for my own unique level of OCD. I used this file to track and sort the information from 2023, then I took a scroll through my Steam library and my Steam wishlist to decide on my approach. As I keep remembering or finding things to add, it has been updated, but at this very moment I have approximately 107 games on my list, most of which I do already own. On the right hand side, in the blue and green boxes, I have denoted if I intend to 100% the game or not, leaving room for variation in my decision, as some said as a maybe. This categorization also determines how much playtime I should predict for the game to take. Using how long to beat, I would leave the story times for the games I want to roll credits on, the 100% times on games I plan to complete, and then I would take the story and extras time and slightly modify it for the games that sit as a maybe. The total projected time for what I've got so far is 2,140 hours, which is nearly double the time spent in 2023. While admittedly daunting, I think it sets a very reasonable expectation. I will not clear this backlog. Yet. This project is going to be very long term, and is likely to change. Sleeper games I don't expect might come out and sweep me off my feet and suck me in. Lord knows I had no intention of dumping over 100 hours into Black Ops 6 this year, as I've proudly boycotted the franchise, but here we are. I also think it's important to denote that I have attempted to categorize my backlog into how badly I want to play them as a theoretical guiding metric on what to play next, but like life, my gaming urges are unpredictable, and that is something I'm preparing for mentally. And I've also created an attempted sheet to track what I did manage to play, how much time I devoted, some quick thoughts, and my overall rating. If you have any games you would recommend or like to see me try, then feel free to leave a comment. As December is my best month for gaming, I've already started digging into this project and have things I already want to share and am working on behind the scenes. That being said, this is all pretty straightforward. I plan to be more intentional and aware about what I'm playing and what I do with my time. I'll hopefully walk away from some of these titles with some inspiration, and I intend to use this channel as a way to share those thoughts. That isn't to say these videos will be exclusively progress checks, but I plan to discuss my thoughts and experiences as well as any other creative inspiration I might find along the way. So if you're up for it, drop a comment, maybe subscribe, or leave a like if you're feeling generous. I plan to be here for a while, so if you decide to stick around, welcome. I'm happy to have you.